Cactus Golf Podcast. This is episode number 92. If you are not on the video version of this episode, you can tell that this is going to be, or you can't tell that this is going to be a solo episode. Matt is on vacation with his family, unable to make it virtually. So you got yours truly alone for episode number 92. Let's go ahead and get into it. Just a quick news and notes that I think everybody probably already saw, I assume and hope that everybody already saw. But Keegan Bradley named as the Ryder Cup captain for 2025. I know there were some rumblings that it was potentially going to be Tiger. He was going to be offered that. I believe the rumors were that he was offered it, turned it down for whatever reason, didn't really get any clarification, or I didn't see it on why. But Keegan Bradley named Ryder Cup captain, and the big quote that came out of the press conference from him being selected or after being selected as the captain was that he basically had no communication with those that were deciding the captaincy. He was basically, it was just sprung on him, and he apparently accepted. So we'll see how that goes. I think that there could have been worse picks. I think the Keegan Bradley pick is maybe a bit of a capitulation, maybe admitting that maybe he should have been on the team last go around. That Zach Johnson probably should have picked him instead of going to the old boys club that we talked about during the last Ryder Cup. But that's in the past, and maybe this is them trying to attune for that mistake. I don't know. Keegan also said that if he does not auto qualify for the top six, then he will not pick himself as a captain's pick. So if he automatically qualifies in the top six, then he will be playing as a player captain. But if not, he will not be picking himself as one of the six captains picks. So that's kind of a cool thing that he basically just went ahead and put out there instead of just having a guessing game whether he would or won't to the lead up of that. But that's the only kind of news and notes we had. Let's go ahead and get into the John Deere Classic review here. So Davis Thompson, he gets his first PGA Tour win in pretty impressive fashion. He breaks the John Deere Classic scoring record that was set by Bryson DeChambeau a few years ago at 28 under. Coming in second place, a couple notable finishes here that I wanted to highlight. Not really notable. They finished T2, so we'll get to other notables that were down the leaderboard later. But some of the finishers here we wanted to definitely shout out: Michael Thorbjornsen and Luke Clanton. They flashed their young talent there, finishing T2, both of them respectively. Clanton is the first amateur to finish in the top 10 in back-to-back starts on tour since 1957. So very impressive feat there. A couple of the second amateur feat we've kind of seen here. Obviously, we had Nick Dunlap at the American Express earlier this year, and now Clanton showing his talents here as well in back-to-back finishes. So really impressive there, as well as Michael Thorbjornsen. He's no longer an amateur, but this is one of his first few starts on tour since turning pro out of Stanford. So it'll be really interesting to see their careers unfold as we move along here. But let's finish out the top 10 here at the John Deere Classic. So we have Davis Thompson, as I said, finishing first. In T2, we had Michael Thorbjornsen, Luke Clanton, as well as CT Pan. And then at T5, we had Ben Griffin, Carson Young, and then a host here at T7, Andrew Novak, Denny McCarthy, Hayden Springer after that 59 he had, I think it was that Thursday or Friday, finishing T7, Eric Cole as well, and Aaron Rye rounding out that top 10. Some other notable finishes here. We had Sung Jae Im, T12. He's had an interesting last couple of months. I wanted to shout out Sung Jae has. So this is his sixth top 12 in his last 9 starts. And those three, so 6 top 12s in 9 starts, those 3 that weren't top 12s were all 3 majors and all 3 miscuts. So Sung Jae Im is having a great season, or at least great last couple of months, except the majors where they really matter. But you can't really take away his top 12s. That's good for him, good for his FedEx ranking and positioning there. So I just wanted to shout out that Sung Jae Im stat there. Rounding out some other notables, we had Jason Day, J-Day finishing T23, Jordan Spieth finishing T26. Some pretty ho-hum finishes for the notable players in the field there. We don't. I didn't give myself a two truths here. No two truths for this week for Davis Thompson. I'll just leave you with that was his. I think I already told you, but his first PGA Tour win. How about that? So we'll see how we can follow that up next week at Genesis Scottish Open. If I can speak right here. Let's go ahead and get into that Genesis Scottish Open. We're running through this really quick. Probably going to be a somewhat quick episode, even though we have a few previews to do. We're running through it pretty quick, but let's go ahead and get into the Genesis Scottish Open preview. So we have defending champion Rory McIlory. I think we all remember probably that finish that he had hitting that amazing approach shot on 18 to put Robert McIntyre away last year. So yeah, Rory is the defending champion here at the Renaissance Club in North Berwick, Scotland. It's a par 70, 7,237 yards. This is the third year that it will be a co-sanctioned event with the DP World Tour. So we have 75 or so golfers from both the DP World Tour and the PGA Tour. And it's going to make a very, very strong field. A lot of these DP World Tour players, they might not know the name, but they are really, really talented golfers. We've seen a few golfers this year that came over to the PGA Tour from the DP World Tour, including Matthew Pavone, Aaron Rise previously. He won this event actually a few years ago when it wasn't co-sanctioned on the DP World Tour. So we've had some of those players have really successful careers since coming over from the DP World Tour. So don't discount any of those players in this field just because you maybe haven't heard their name or haven't heard them as much over at the DP World Tour. But some of the notable names not in the field, like I said, it's a very strong field, but a few notables not in the field this week. Scotty Scheffler, Sam Burns, and Tony Finau not in the field this week, not getting that little tune-up before the Links Golf Test next week at the Open Championship. I'm sure they're overseas somewhere getting some work in, though. But let's go ahead and keep moving here through the preview. Scoring can vary here over the last few editions of this tournament, even before it was co-sanctioned. It can get down, or I'm sorry, scores can get as low as 22 under. That was in 2018. That winning score, 22 under in 2018, but also as high as 7 under in 2022, just a couple of years ago. So it can really vary. It depends on weather, wind. I don't believe I saw too much adverse weather in the forecast for this week, but it can also change pretty quickly over there. So you never know until it gets here. So it can really vary. We'll just see, how the weather plays out. But that's basically the toughest test you'll have. The course isn't going to be too tough unless the weather comes in. So we'll see how it plays out. My pick here for this week is going to be Colin Morikawa. We've seen him flash lately over the last few tournaments. He's had some outstanding finishes, just hasn't gotten across that finish line first yet. But I think it's coming. We've seen him win the Open Championship before, so we know he can win on some links style golf courses, so we know we can do it. So I like him rounding into form and finally getting across the finish line first here. I'll give you Matt's pick here. I believe he texted me earlier. So his pick is going to be Tommy Fleetwood. I do like Tommy Ladd here this week. Not in my pick here, but you will see him in my betting corner later. But yeah, Tommy Fleetwood, I think that's a good pick. I have him also. I've been shouting out DFS the last few weeks. I'm riding it again. I got him in a couple lineups, so I like Tommy Ladd. Kind of like a notable storyline we've mentioned with him several times. Hasn't gotten that maiden win on the PGA Tour, but he has several wins outside the PGA Tour. So maybe the co-sanctioned is his way dipping his toes into the winning ways here on the PGA Tour. Dual sanctioned event. We'll give it to him if he gets it. So that's Matt's pick, Tommy Fleetwood. Keep chugging along here. Let's get into the LIV Valderrama preview. So we have defending champion here at Valderrama, Taylor Gooch. This was one of his, 4 wins, I believe, 3 wins, 4 wins last year on the LIV circuit. So, and then defending champion for the team aspect, we haven't really shouted that out previously, but I wanted to give you the defending champion on the team aspect this week. It was Torquay. So Torquay won this on the team side last year. This is at, again, the same club as last year, Real Club Valderrama in Sotogrande, Spain. I'm sure I butchered that, but Sotogrande, Spain is how I'm reading it this week. Par 71, 7,010 yards. We do have 4 Spanish players in the field this week. We had 2 last year, and they both finished in the top 10. We had Sergio Garcia T10 and David Puig. I think they're calling it Puig is what I've heard it pronounced on the broadcast before, Puig, but it looks like Puig. He finished T5 here last year, I should say. So both Spanish players in the field last year finished really well. Let's see how the four do this year. Garcia, I think I mentioned this last year as well at this tournament. He has 3 pro wins here at Valderrama in his career, so he's really familiar with the course and has had some good finishes, obviously, last year at T10, and then, like I just mentioned, 3 wins here in his career. This is not going to be as great of a warm up as the Genesis Scottish Open for those that are going to be in the Open Championship next week in the LIV field. It's not a links style course at all, but I'm sure those guys, they've had a few weeks off, so I'm sure they've been over there maybe getting their warm ups on the links style courses anyway. So we'll see maybe how that affects them versus the PGA players that did have a little bit of a more of a warm up prior to the Open. My pick here. I've been doing it lately. I've been picking him, but I'm going back to Jon Rahm. It's the hometown kid. He's still had some really good finishes on the LIV Tour, even though he hasn't had them on the majors this year. But I think he's always talking about the heritage and how he feels a connection with Seve Ballesteros, and so he's been talking about that at the press conferences. So I think he's really going to bring it this week, and I think he can finally get it done. But maybe that's just the insanity in me. Keep doing it even though it never works out. But we're going to hope it works out this week. I'm going Jon Rahm. Let me see. I don't believe I got Matt's LIV selection here, but let me make sure he didn't send me it. I don't see it here. I know he likes Mito Pereira. Maybe just to give him the Mito pick in honorary fashion. No, I'm not going to settle like that because Mito has not done very well this year. But we don't have an official pick for Matt this week on LIV, but that is okay. Jon Rahm is the betting favorite here at plus 750. So I'm going with the chalk. I think he can get it done. Or I'm sorry, no, Bryson is the betting favorite here at plus 650. Excuse me. Jon Rahm is just behind at plus 750. So even though he doesn't have the best finishes or has the best betting record going into this, he is favored. I think that's a little bit of the hometown kid favoritism he's getting there from the books. We do have the other tournament, the opposite field tournament that we're not going to preview here, but I did want to shout out that the 2 that I mentioned, Michael Thorbjornsen and Luke Clanton, are in that field at I'm getting the name here, the ISCO Championship in Kentucky. They are the betting favorites. So Luke Clanton, amateur, still an amateur, and Michael Thorbjornsen, 20 and 22 years old, respectively, are the betting favorites after that T2 finish by the both of them last week. So that was really something I wanted to shout out, even though we're not going to do a full preview for that tournament. I just wanted to shout that out because I think that was a really kind of cool feat, even though I think that is a bit of the books trying to make some money off that. I mean, they could easily win. Like I said, just like I shouted out, they played better than all but one golfer last week. So they can easily do it, but I think that was a cool feat I wanted to shout out. Now let's go ahead and get into betting corner. I had another good week. I've been riding a little bit of a hot streak here. Matt and I both been riding kind of hot streaks coming into this week, but I went up plus 134 last week. And Matt, he went down 100 units, did not have anything hit. I did have Davis Thompson as one of my shotgun outright picks that ended up putting me at plus 134. I almost hit my Denny McCarthy top 5 pick. Almost hit it. He finished T7 just outside that top 5. That would have given me a really, really nice week, but I'll take it for sure. Like I always say, can't go broke taking a profit. So let's go ahead and that gives us the scorecards after this week. For the season, Matt sits at minus 142. I sit at plus 165. So still really tight. Really, really tight. Anything can happen here over the next month or so of this last stretch of the season. But I'll go ahead and just read off. I'll just go ahead and do all of Matt's 5 picks. I think that'll be easier. Then I'll do all 5 of mine going into this week. So let's start with, like I said, Matt. Justin Rose is going to be his first pick. He's going with a top 20 for Justin Rose at plus 450. He's doing a nice round 20 units on that one. I don't have a breakdown of why he picked him. That's Justin Rose. That's his pick. That's Matt's first pick. Justin Rose, top 20, plus 450. Next, he's going with another Englishman, a couple Englishmen to start the round. Can't go wrong with that over here in Scotland. Aaron Rai. I think it's going to be a popular pick from amongst everybody here. I didn't make my betting card, I don't believe. Double check here. No, he did not, but I think it's a good pick. I have him in a DFS lineup as well. So he has Aaron Rai at top 10. He's coming off 2 top 10 finishes, I believe, back to back the last couple weeks. So see if he can keep riding it for Matt here. That top 10 is plus 360. He's going 23 units on Mr. Rai. He is going next with Minwoo Lee at 1.6 units. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place here. 1.6 units for Minwoo Lee, top 5, plus 550. I'm thinking that is a typo. Yeah, that is 16 units. He put 1.6. It is 16 units for Minwoo Lee, top 5, plus 550. Minwoo, again, another favorite, I think, amongst everybody this week, as well as myself. I believe he is on my betting card and in some DFS lineups. So I like that pick as well from Matt. Rounding out his last couple picks here, he has Colin Morikawa. He has got him for a top 5. That's same odds as Mr. Rai's top 10 at plus 360. So he's got 25 units on Mr. Morikawa there for a top 5. His final pick is his trusted triple chance. He is going with Mr. Aubert, Ludwig, Tommy Fleetwood, his official pick, and Victor Hovland for his triple chance. That is plus 600. He's going 16 units on that one. So Fleetwood is official pick, but he added Aubert and Hovland in there. We'll see how Hovland does. He's had a few weeks off again, working with his old swing coach, trying to get that form from last year back. So we'll see how he does and bounces back to see if he can get back into form here. So those are his 5 picks. I am going with my 5. I'll start out with, like I said, Minwoo Lee. He made my pick here as well. I have him for a top 5. Matt had him for a top 5 as well. Same odds, plus 550. I'm going 18 units on him. So I have a couple more units than he had. So if it hits, I'm coming out on top. So I like that. But we both want to hit. So that's good that we both have him. We're on the same page there. I'm going back with my parlay. I mean, my parlay's been doing all right, I think, lately. So I'm going back to that route. I'm going Tom Kim and Tommy Fleetwood, both to top 20, plus 339, 24 units. Tom Kim has 2 top 10 finishes here in the last couple of years. Tommy Fleetwood, like I said, he's always knocking on the door, just can't really get those wins in his belt. But we're going with a top 20 for him. I feel really, really good about that. I think I'm going to sprinkle more on that outside of betting corner, just personally. Actually, I like that so much. But yeah, that's a Tom Kim, Tommy Fleetwood, top 20, plus 30, plus 339, 24 units. My third pick here, I'm going with Matthew Pavon. As I mentioned, one of those DP World Tour players that came over to the PGA and has really done pretty well, including that one win he had earlier in the season. So I'm going Pavon, top 10, plus 650, 18 units. Let's get that magic back. I think he can get it back. He's familiar with the style course, playing over the DP World Tour, and he's parlayed that over to some pretty good success PGA as well. So I like him getting a top 10 this week. My next little shotgun pick here, shotgun round with my outrights. I'm going Højgaard. I'm going back to the Nikolai Højgaard channel here. So I'm going with him outright. I think the number's just so long. I think his talent's there. He's going to come through for me, I think, at some point if I keep hammering it. And I think it'll pay off eventually, even if I miss a few. So I'm going plus 8,000. So that's 80 to 1, 7 units on Højgaard outright. I'm going next to another DP World Tour player that's currently still on the DP World Tour, actually. Ewan Ferguson. He's 110 to 1, so plus 11,000. He's coming off of a win on the DP World Tour just last week. So see if he can keep that form going. Just 4 units, though. It's so long. It's such a long bet. I just need 4 units on it. So that's what I'm doing. And then my final shotgun pick from outrights is Aubert. I'm going with Matt and part of his triple chance. I'm going with Ludwig. Aubert plus 1,600. Just 14 units on that one. So I like Aubert. I wanted to get him on my card, even though he wasn't my pick. I like him getting a win here in a really strong field and something I think a course that he's gonna like. I think it's gonna suit him pretty well. He's gonna be able to bomb it down the fairway and then get it up. And I think putting is going to be important. It's just going to be a bomber's paradise, and then just get your birdies on the greens there. So I think he's going to be able to do that. And then my last pick, Colin Morikawa, outright, plus 1,600, 15 units. I like Colin, like I said, for all those reasons. He's been playing extremely well. I think he's knocking on the door. Let's see if he can get it across the finish line in first place this time and give me some units. Let's keep this hot streak alive. So, hey, if you've been paying attention, you've been riding the picks. Now's the time to hop on the train. We're as hot as ever, or maybe now's the time to get off, or not even hop on. I don't know. Whichever one you want to fade the hot streak. I don't know. I don't blame you if you won't. But it's hot. I'm going to keep riding it. I'm not changing my strategy. I think I'm going with the same strategy for I've been last month, and I think it's working. So we're going to keep riding it until it stops. But those are my picks. Those are Matt's picks. Let's see how it goes, and let's have a great week. Next week's the final major of the season. Can't believe it's already here, coming by so fast. And then we have the race to the FedEx Cup playoffs, and then the President's Cup after that. So we still got a lot on the table, even though major season is almost over. But that's going to do it for episode 92 of the Cactus Golf Podcast. Next week, Matt will be back. So it'll be the two of us again in the normal studio. Hope to see you then. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, tell all your friends about Cactus Golf and Cactus Golf Club. And we'll see you next week. Peace.